The thunder cracked across the sky as Ethan Miller adjusted his rain-soaked jacket and squinted through the downpour. The geological survey was supposed to be routine. Map the unusual formations in the Cascade Mountains, collect samples, and return to base. Instead, he was now staring at what was unmistakably not a meteorite. "Control, I'm at the impact site," Ethan spoke into his radio. "You're not going to believe this." Static answered him. The storm was blocking the signal. Cautiously, he approached the sleek metallic object half buried in the mountainside. Its surface gleamed with an iridescent blue sheen despite the mud and debris surrounding it. Definitely not terrestrial technology. A hissing sound drew his attention to a crack in the vessel's side, where pale blue smoke seeped out. Training his flashlight on the opening, Ethan saw movement inside. Something was alive in there. "Hello?" he called out, hesitating only briefly before his humanitarian instincts took over. "I'm going to try to help." The rain intensified as Ethan worked to widen the crack, using his geological tools to carefully pry apart the strange metal. It felt warm beneath his fingers, despite the cold rain, almost like it was alive. When the opening was finally large enough, he peered inside. A humanoid figure lay slumped against what appeared to be a control panel. Its skin was silvery blue with faint luminescent patterns tracing across the visible parts of its face and hands. The alien, because what else could it be, wore what resembled a diplomatic uniform, now torn and stained with dark blue fluid that Ethan presumed was blood. "Can you understand me?" Ethan asked, surprised when the being's eyes fluttered. Open, 3 pupils in each iris contracting as they focused on him. "Yes," the alien replied in perfect, though accented English. "Translator functioning. I'm Ethan. I'm going to get you out of here." "Vortex," the alien said weakly. "Emissary of Azuria. Danger follows." A rumble shook the mountainside, and Ethan looked up to see rocks beginning to slide above them. The crash had destabilized the slope, and the heavy rain was triggering a landslide. "We need to move, now!" Ethan reached in and carefully pulled Vortex from the wreckage. The alien was lighter than expected, but still substantial as Ethan supported him. They had barely made it 20 feet when a massive boulder crashed down, narrowly missing them. Vortex stumbled, his leg clearly injured. "Leave me," Vortex insisted. "They are coming." "Who's coming?" Ethan asked, continuing to help the alien move. "And no, I'm not leaving you." "Those who shot down my vessel," Vortex gasped. "Not supposed to be." First contact, another rumble, louder this time. Ethan glanced back just in time to see the alien vessel disappear under tons of rock and mud. Their evidence was gone, but at least they were alive. They reached a small cave just as the full force of the landslide rushed past. Inside, Ethan helped. Vortex sit against the wall, then dug through his backpack for the first aid kit. He had no idea if human medicine would help an alien, but he had to try something. "My daughter," Vortex said suddenly, reaching for Ethan's wrist with surprising strength. "Tell Talia I fulfilled the mission." "Tell her yourself when we get out of here," Ethan replied firmly, wincing as he noticed a deep gash on his own arm, probably from the sharp metal of the spacecraft. Vortex's eyes widened at the sight of Ethan's blood. "You are injured. The toxins in my vessel, it will poison you." Before Ethan could react, Vortex pressed a small device against both their wounds. A brief flash of blue light emanated from it, and an odd warmth spread through Ethan's arm. "What was that?" Ethan asked, suddenly feeling lightheaded. "Life bond," Vortex explained, his voice growing stronger. "Ancient practice. Saves both bonded. Now our lives disconnected temporarily." Outside, the storm began to subside, but Ethan could hear something else, the distant sound of helicopters approaching. "Rest now," Vortex said, his 3-pupiled eyes studying Ethan with newfound interest. "You have done more than save an emissary today, Ethan of Earth. By our laws, you have bound yourself to my house forever." As consciousness began to fade, Ethan wondered what exactly that meant, and why Vortex was now looking at him with what seemed like a mixture of gratitude and concern. Ethan awoke to the steady beep of monitoring equipment. The sterile white room resembled a hospital, but the armed guard at the door suggested otherwise. His arm, where Vortex had used the strange device, now bore an intricate pattern of silvery blue. "Lines, he's awake," a female voice announced. Turning his head, Ethan saw a woman enter. No, not quite a woman. Her skin had the same silvery blue sheen as Vortex, but her features were more delicate, almost luminescent in the harsh light. 3 pupiled eyes, the color of twilight, studied him intently. "I'm Talia," she said, her voice melodious despite its businesslike tone. "Daughter of emissary Vortex, you saved my father's life." "Where is he, and where am I?" Ethan attempted to sit up, wincing at the soreness in his muscles. "My father is recovering well. You're in a secure government facility. Your authorities and ours have been in discussions." She hesitated, moving closer to examine the markings on his arm. "Did my father explain what he did?" "Something about a life bond. He said it was temporary." Talia's expression shifted subtly. "The bond itself is permanent, though its most acute effects are temporary. It saved both your lives by synchronizing your biological systems long enough for help to arrive." A tall man in a dark suit entered, nodding to Talia before addressing Ethan. "Dr. Miller, I'm Director Harlow. We have some things to discuss about your encounter." "Like why an alien diplomat was shot down over U.S. soil?" Ethan asked. "Among other things," Harlow replied coolly, "such as the implications of the procedure emissary Vortex performed." Talia straightened. "I can explain that part, Director. If you'll allow me a private moment with Dr. Miller." After Harlow reluctantly left, Talia sat on the edge of Ethan's bed. "There's something my father couldn't tell you before he performed the bonding ritual, perhaps wouldn't have told you even if there had been time." "What's that?" Ethan asked, suddenly uneasy. "On Azuria, the life bond is our most sacred connection. It's used in only 2 circumstances, between parents and children at birth, and between those who are to be married." She touched the markings on his arm. "By our laws, you and I are now bound in matrimony." Ethan stared at her, processing her words. That can't be right. I've never even met you before today. Nevertheless, it is done. My father's blood now runs in your veins, connecting us. The Council of Azuria has recognized the bond." She hesitated. "I understand this is unexpected." "Unexpected? It's impossible. I can't be married to someone I don't know, someone who isn't even human." A flash of hurt crossed Talia's features before her diplomatic composure returned. "The arrangement is as difficult for me as it is for you. I was to be bonded to a high-ranking official on my world, but Azurian law is absolute on this matter." Before Ethan could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Director Harlow burst back into the room. "We've got a security breach," he announced. "The same group that targeted Vortex's ship has located this facility." Talia's eyes widened. "They're persistent." "Who are they?" Ethan demanded, getting to his feet despite the dizziness. "A human extremist group called Terrapura," Harlow explained, handing Ethan a set of clothes. "They oppose any contact with extraterrestrial species. Get dressed, we're evacuating." As Ethan changed quickly, he caught Talia watching him with undisguised curiosity. Despite the absurdity of their supposed marriage, he couldn't deny a strange attraction to her otherworldly beauty. "Ready or not," Harlow announced from the doorway, "your honeymoon's over. We need to move. Now." The mountain safe house was remote enough that Ethan hoped they'd finally lost their pursuers. For 3 days, they'd been moving constantly, from the government facility to a military airbase, then by helicopter to this isolated cabin. Vortex, sat by the window, his tall frame silhouetted against the gathering dusk. His injuries were healing remarkably fast, the same silvery blue lines that marked Ethan's arm now fading on the alien diplomat's skin. "You have questions," Vortex stated without turning. "About 1,000,000, Ethan replied, joining him. "Starting with why you didn't tell me what the bond really meant. Would you have consented if I had? We would both be dead." Ethan couldn't argue with that logic. "But now, I'm supposedly married to your daughter." "Not supposedly. By our laws, you are her bonded partner." Vortex finally turned to face him. "The bond is revered because it cannot lie. It would not have taken if there wasn't compatibility between you." From the kitchen area, Talia approached with 3 steaming mugs. "Hot chocolate," she explained, handing them each one. "I've been studying Earth customs." Their fingers brushed as Ethan accepted the drink, sending an unexpected tingle up his arm where the bonding marks remained. Talia's eyes widened slightly, suggesting she'd felt it too. "The bond grows stronger," Vortex observed. "This is unexpected given the species difference." "Is that why I keep feeling—" Ethan stopped himself. "Drawn to me?" Talia finished for him. "Yes. The bond creates awareness between partners. Emotional at first, then physical." Ethan took a large gulp of hot chocolate, burning his tongue in. "The process," Talia winced simultaneously, touching her own mouth. "And apparently sensory," she added wryly. Later that night, unable to sleep, Ethan stepped onto the cabin's small porch. The stars seemed unusually bright. "That one," Talia said, startling him as she emerged from the shadows. "The blue-white star near your constellation Cassiopeia. That's my sun." "It's beautiful," Ethan offered. "Do you miss it?" "Every moment." She stood beside him, close enough that he could feel her warmth. "But I'm discovering unexpected beauty here as well." Their eyes met and Ethan found himself leaning closer. The kiss, when it came, was gentle, exploratory. Her lips were cooler than a human's would be, but the sensation sent warmth spreading through his chest. When they separated, Talia touched her lips in wonder. "The bond enhances everything." "Is that all this is?" Ethan asked. "Just chemicals and alien biology?" Before she could answer, a twig snapped in the forest beyond the cabin. They both froze, listening. "Inside," Ethan whispered. "Now!" They barely made it through the door when the first shots rang out, shattering the cabin's windows. Vortex was already moving, retrieving a small device from his diplomatic pouch. "They've found us," he said grimly. "Again." "Down!" Ethan shouted, pulling Talia to the floor as bullets splintered the wooden walls of the cabin. Vortex activated his device, creating a shimmering energy barrier around them. "It will not hold for long," the alien diplomat warned. "My equipment was damaged in the crash." Through the broken window, Ethan counted at least 6 attackers moving through the trees. "Terrapura," he muttered. "Harlow said they have infiltrators in multiple government agencies. That's how they keep finding us." "They wish to prevent diplomatic relations between our worlds," Vortex explained. "Your planet has resources we need, and technologies we can offer in exchange." A voice called from outside. "Surrender the aliens, Dr. Miller. You're being manipulated by their biological warfare." "Biological warfare," Ethan scoffed. "Is that what they think the bond is?" "Fear often distorts truth," Talia replied, her hand finding his in the darkness. Ethan's mind raced. The cabin was surrounded, but he knew these mountains from his geological surveys. "There's an old mining tunnel 1/2 mile from here. If we can reach it, we might be able to circle back behind them." The barrier flickered as something heavy struck it. Vortex grimaced. "Go! Both of you! I will hold them here." "We're not leaving you," Talia insisted. "As your father and emissary, I order you to ensure the safety of your bonded partner." Vortex's tone left no room for argument. "Complete the mission, daughter. The future of both our worlds depends on it." With tearful determination, Talia nodded. Ethan led her to a trapdoor hidden beneath a rug, the cabin's storm cellar, which he suspected might connect to the old mining system. As they descended, the last thing they saw was Vordex standing tall, his diplomatic uniform glowing faintly as he prepared to face their attackers alone. The underground passage was damp and narrow, forcing them to move in single file. Ethan's geological training helped him identify stable sections and avoid potential cave-ins. "Wait," Talia whispered suddenly, gripping his arm. "I can feel him. My father. He's in pain. The bond. Of course it would connect father and daughter too. Can you tell where he is?" She closed her eyes. "They're moving him east, I think, towards a large body of water." The reservoir, Ethan realized. There's an old dam facility there, isolated, secure. When they emerged from the tunnel, dawn was breaking over the mountains. Ethan's phone had no signal, leaving them without a way to contact Harlow or any potential allies. "We have to do this ourselves," he decided, studying the terrain. "I know a way to reach the reservoir that they won't expect." As they hiked across the rugged landscape, Ethan shared stories of his work as a geologist, while Talia explained Azurian customs. With each passing hour, the connection between them deepened, not just the artificial bond of the ritual, but something more natural and profound. By nightfall, they had reached a ridge overlooking the dam. Security lights illuminated a concrete structure with military vehicles parked outside. "There," Talia pointed. "He's inside." Ethan studied the facility. The dam's water release system could create a diversion. "If I can reach the control room, I can trigger an emergency spillway opening. The guards would have to respond." "It's too dangerous," Talia protested, touching his face. "I can't lose you too." In the moonlight, her silver-blue skin seemed to glow. Ethan pulled her close, their foreheads touching. "You won't. We're bonded, remember? Where you go, I go." Their kiss was deeper this time, desperate with the knowledge of what they were about to risk. When they finally separated, both were breathing hard, the marks on their arms glowing faintly in response to their shared emotions. "Let's get your father back," Ethan said, his resolve strengthened. "And then we'll figure out what this bond really means, for both of us." The control room of the dam facility was exactly where Ethan had predicted. His knowledge of local infrastructure had allowed them to infiltrate through a maintenance tunnel while Terrapura's forces were distracted by the spillway alarms. "Two guards at the central chamber," Ethan whispered, peering around a corner. "That's where they're holding Vordex." Talia removed a small sphere from a hidden pocket in her clothing. "Azurian stun device. It will incapacitate them without permanent harm." Working together with unspoken coordination, the bond allowing them to anticipate each other's movements, they managed to neutralize the guards and reach the chamber where Vordex was being held. The alien diplomat was secured to a chair, monitoring, equipment attached to his chest and head. "Father!" Talia rushed to him while Ethan disabled the restraints. "The bonding ritual," Vordex said weakly. "They were studying it. They believe it's the first stage of invasion." "That's insane," Ethan replied, helping him to his feet. "We need to get out of here before I arrive?" A familiar voice completed his sentence. Director Harlow stepped into the room, flanked by armed men. "I'm disappointed, Dr. Miller. I thought you'd make the patriotic choice." "This is patriotism," Ethan countered. "Preventing a group of extremists from destroying our first chance at peaceful contact with another civilization." Harlow smiled coldly. "Terrapura has supporters in the highest levels of government. We've been preparing for this moment for decades." "You shot down a diplomatic vessel," Ethan said in disgust. "You're not protecting Earth. You're endangering it." "The Azurian Council knows where I am," Vordex added. "If I don't return, they will not be as peaceful in their next approach." A tense standoff ensued until the facility shook with a sudden explosion. Through the window, Ethan could see military helicopters approaching. not Terrapura's forces, but official U.S. Army aircraft. It seems, Vordex observed with satisfaction, that not all of your leaders share your xenophobia, Director. In the confusion, Ethan, Talia, and Vordex escaped to the roof, where a helicopter landed to extract them. Inside was a high-ranking general who explained that the president had been informed of Terrapura's actions and had ordered their immediate shutdown. 2 weeks later, at a secure diplomatic compound, Vordex prepared to return to Azuria. The legitimate first contact between Earth and his homeworld had been officially established, with treaties being negotiated at the highest levels. Before I depart, Vordex told Ethan privately, there is something you should know about the bond you share with my daughter. What's that? Ethan asked, his hand unconsciously moving to the marks on his arm, which had begun to feel like a part of him. It can be dissolved through a ritual on my world. You were bonded without consent. Our laws allow for annulment in such cases. Ethan was silent for a long moment. And what does Talia want? She has expressed that the choice must be yours. Vordex studied him carefully. The bond may have been created by necessity, but what has grown between you since then? That is something else entirely. Later, Ethan found Talia in the compound's garden, her face turned up to the stars. Your father told me about the annulment ritual, he said, sitting beside her. Yes, her voice was carefully neutral. You did not choose this bond. I didn't, Ethan agreed, but I would choose it now. She turned to him, hope dawning in her. 3 pupilled eyes. You would? These past weeks have shown me something I never expected to find, especially not with someone from another world. He took her hands in his. The bond may have thrown us together, but what I feel for you now is real. I don't want it dissolved. Among my people, Talia said softly, we have a saying, stars may chart the path, but hearts choose the journey. Their embrace was interrupted by emergency alarms. Terrapura, though officially disbanded, had launched one final desperate attack on the compound. As security forces engaged the attackers, Ethan and Talia worked together to ensure the safety of both human and Azurian diplomats. When the danger finally passed, they stood together amid the aftermath, their bonding marks glowing brightly where their arms touched. So, Ethan said with a smile, what exactly does being married to an alien diplomat entail? Adventure, Talia replied, her eyes shining. Discovery, building bridges between worlds, and perhaps, she added more softly, creating something entirely new together. As the first official Earth-Azurian diplomatic summit convened the next day, Ethan and Talia sat side by side, representatives of what was possible when different worlds came together. The bond that had begun as survival had transformed into something much more, a promise of a future where the distance between stars was no barrier to connection. And as they signed the historic first treaty between their worlds, the marks on their arms pulsed in unison, a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected bonds become the strongest bridges between distant stars. 3.7 Sonnet.